Because and we are live.
Yay!
It's a couple minutes before 8.
Welcome, welcome.
Just got my notification.
Yay! Not only are we live from YouTube, but we are live from our
On
Facebook
Facebook.
girls as well.
Ooh, look at that. I just got a notification that Deborah Stout is live on Facebook.
I haven't gotten
And I'm
that.
live too. Ha ha.
So we are when we all have green check marks in the corner. So all of our pages are now linked to our StreamYard, so people can catch us on multiple platforms.
Ooh, look it. I just commented on my Facebook. I can see it. Sweet.
Yay! See, Celtic. The Carrie Lynn is live from Celtic Circle. Carrie Lynn is live from Readings with Carrie Lynn. Jill Deliberty is live from Soul Connections. Yay!
Look at that.
Woohoo!
Awesome sauce.
Now let me see if it's shareable now.
Awesome sauce.
I don't
Super
think
cool.
it is, but that's okay.
Hey,
Sweet. Look at
Genocide.
Aiden. We got
We're
Nida
working
with
out
us.
a
One of
couple
the
of
bridge
things.
buddies.
Hi, Nada.
Bridge buddy. Oh, Mary Hubble. Woo!
Woohoo! Mary's in the house, yo.
Yeah, Corey. I think Corey's on vacation, or he's about to go on vacation. So there's no
Nice.
bridge tonight.
Well, welcome everybody, Facebook and StreamYard, and whoever else on. We got YouTube. Welcome everybody.
Sharp Lisa.
Say hi. Let us know where you're from. We'd love to hear from you. Carrie's got a beautiful lineup for us tonight. We'll pull some cards, hopefully. I have a couple of my goddess decks here. We're going to be discussing goddesses.
I have my goddesses out too.
Lisa, welcome.
Mrs.
I know Lisa.
I see a Facebook user.
Yep,
I don't know
that's
what page
Lisa. That's my girl Lisa. She follows me.
Nice.
I'm so excited to be multiple places. Sharp Lisa, you are from Thorhold, Ontario, Canada. How cool is that?
Excellent.
Welcome. So yeah, so
yeah, it looks like we're getting a lot of comments here.
It's great. It's great to see everybody. So last week, kind of in an impromptu way, as things tend to happen with us, the theme for the next month was decided in our live last week. So we decided that we are going to spend August learning about gods and goddesses. So what's really cool is that today is Tuesday, August 1st, which is also known as Lunasa, or to some, I'm going to botch the name, Lammas, which is a celebration of the first harvest. It's the first of 3 harvest festivals. And so this one is for giving thanks for the grain and the wheats and the barley and everything that's come up in the fields. And there's one of the sun gods Lugh, or also known as Lao, he is part of that celebration. So actually, Lunasa is actually incorporates his name in it. So that's who we are going to be focused on tonight. Hey, a couple of Connecticut people.
Nadia lives in Connecticut.
Yeah, a couple of Connecticut people up in here.
I lived in Connecticut for a little while.
Yes, you did.
Yes, yes.
So, couple of resource guides. The information that's going to be shared tonight is from my studies, my knowledge, studying in my craft. But as always, I like to give credit where credit is due and acknowledge some of my resources to in creating the outline and verbiage that will be shared tonight. So we have Celtic Otherworlds, Irish History, Lore, and Rituals by Stephen Blamires, Blamires, and Celtic Myth and Magic by Eden McCoy. So these are two of the main resources that I use tonight to pull some of the facts and information that I'm going to share. And I guess if we're ready, I can jump in. We're good, girls? All right. Thumbs up. So we are celebrating a turning of the wheel, which is one of 8 Sabbats or solar rituals, which mark unique points and phases within the time of the year. Each one is symbolic to a stage in the eternal and ever-renewing life of the goddess and gods. Lunasa, also called Yamas. This Sabbat is indeed named after the sun god Lugh. We thank him for bestowing upon us the bounty of the first of the 3 harvests. Today is predominantly focused on the grains. In addition, we also pay reverence to the goddess as the queen of abundance, the great mother who gave birth to the bounty that is flowing from the earth in this time. One interesting fact that came to light as I was preparing for tonight is that an ancient ritual and rite actually stated that the harvest begins on Tuesday. A passage from the Battle of Matoya, Lugh asked Brass, who is actually a counterpart, almost like his mirror. We've been doing some shadow work, so Brass is actually Lugh's shadow. They both have similar traits. They're both sun gods, but Brass is more in the shadows and makes some not so good choices. But in this conversation, Lugh asked Brass, when is the best time to plow, to sow, and to reap? To which Brass responds, on Tuesday, they're plowing. On Tuesday, they're sowing the seed in the field. On Tuesday, they're reaping. Therefore, with this, I call upon the god Lugh and his mother Talte, asking that as we spend time this Tuesday learning about the deities, that you would allow us the harvest of plowing the land, sowing the seed of knowledge, and that we might reap a greater understanding and connection to the goddesses and gods we will come to learn about. So mote it be. So some interesting facts about Lugh include that He represents the element of fire, therefore has the aspect of fire magic, and is associated with the Harthon moon. He is associated with the spear and candle in magical tools. He was known to have wielded a spear, and actually one of his name that we will talk about talks about being the long arm, and that is in correlation to the fact that he wielded the spear. His spear was crafted and received from Goyas, which is one of the 4 underworld cities in which gods and goddesses received their magical training before coming to Ireland as part of the Tuatha De Danann. And I apologize if others would pronounce that differently or more fluidly than I did. He is known as the Shining Warrior God, and also as Soil Dana, or Master of All Arts. He is also known as Labanda, which is interpreted as long-armed, which that relates to the wielding of the spear. He is thought to have the ability to come to us in human form and worship among those for whom he is the primary deity. Therefore, if somebody does choose to work with him, or a group does choose to work with him, it is believed that he is able to come amongst the human race in human form. He is the protector of the weak. He is the god of crafting, weaving, fire, and metalwork. But he is attributed to the magical workings and power of money, strength, energy. He can be called upon to aid with new beginnings, business ventures, as well as protection. There are actually 3 goddesses that are said to have been the mother of Lugh. One, Clothra, second, Ethane, and the third, Talte. Talte was actually given charge over him and was his foster mother. If you understanding the history of the times, it wasn't always the person who birthed the child, the goddess. It was often somebody that was charged to do the raising of that person. So Talte was actually the one who nurtured and mothered Lugh and taught him skills and watched after him when he was running in the fields and doing the things that he was doing as he was growing and learning. She is also known as the goddess of Lunasa. She is the feminine fertility symbol. She was even known to have cleared an entire plain in a town that was named after her, an act that is said to have caused her life. This place then became a sacred place where Lugh is said to have called for yearly celebrations, games, and even weddings. Genocide, you are on point, my friend. So, with that being said, to share some of the history, Clothra is actually the jealous sister of Ethu. And they were both the daughters of Baelor. Baelor was a mighty ruler, and Baelor was actually a warrior god who was said to have had a third eye that required the strength of 4 warriors to raise the eyelid, and any person or thing that eye made connection with would perish. That is where the story and myth and understanding of the third eye comes from. Yes, the eye of Baelor.
So cool, right?
Yeah. So Ethne, sorry, is actually a minor fertility goddess and moon goddess. She was actually in pregnancy with another child, and when her sister, who continued to be jealous of her, drowned her and her unborn child. Every maiden in distress needs to have a hero, right? So in comes Kion, who is the god of medicine. He is actually credited as being the father of Lugh after having rescued Ethne from Baelor's castle, because Baelor had heard a prophecy that his daughter would birth a son who would ultimately be his demise. So he had entrapped and imprisoned his own daughter and had forbade her from having any contact with any man to try to prevent the coming of the prophecy. His grandmother is credited as being May Moore, who was a princess goddess of Firbolg. Firbolg is actually a clan of people that were in possession of Ireland for 37 years before the leadership of the Tuatha De Danann drove out the Firbolg from those places into the realms that were physically manifested as the other worlds known as Islay, Rathlin, and the Isle of Man and the Isle of Arran. They remained there until the Scottish then drove the Firbolg out, and at that time they returned to Ireland, where they remained quiet but had a high disliking to humankind. So they are actually better known to be left alone so that they don't cause more trouble. So as time progressed, the Kiwan and Ethne did birth Lugh. Lugh was then involved in a battle many years later. It was actually it was the second major battle of the Tuatha De Danann, where during that battle he defeated his grandfather, and his grandfather perished. It is actually said that in the battle, Baelor lost his life and his eye at the hand of his grandson. They said that he struck him so hard the eye, like, literally popped out, and was, that was the end of him. He is actually credited as having had several wives, and to be the biological father to several children. One of his wives was actually Nas, who is the name continues to live on because the place where she died still holds her name, and that's in the county Kildare. He is known to be the father of Cuchulainn, the warrior. However, this is more of a spiritual fathership versus a platonic seed-bearing paternal biological fatherhood. However, there is one interesting myth where it is said that a Mayflower that was containing the soul of Lugh fell into a chalice that contained the wine, which once Dechtree drank, she became pregnant with Cuchulainn. Cuchulainn was then reportedly vomited up in the birthing process so that she remained a maiden. So that's just a very one interesting little myth out there. The spiritual fathership and mentorship that was actually what the foundation of that relationship really was that when Chuchilin went into battle, he was actually able to call upon Lu, and Lu would help guide him, protect him, direct him, and he would actually borrow Lu's powers in battle. He would borrow Lu's the warrior abilities and strengths. Lu's family lineage is from both the light and the shadow. His grandfather Baelor was the king of Formhorrior, and his father Kiwan, was of the Tuha de Danann. These lineages were opposite. The Formhorriors were actually very much cultivated in darkness. Darkness was what their roots consisted of. However, the Tuha de Danann is considered to be the people of the goddess Danu. They are what makes up the Irish Celtic pantheon. What's interesting too is that when you interpret the name and it says the people of the goddess Danu, one of the things that you need to understand is that in the pantheon, they did not see one god or goddess higher or better than any other. So there's the question as to why would they point out Danu as the goddess of choice to call these people. But when you look at Danu and you break down Danu even more, it has to do with function versus status, or function versus power. She is actually a goddess of craftsmanship, a goddess of artistry, poetry, music. So when you actually look at it and break it down even more, it actually interprets to be the people of the goddess of craftsmanship or artistic people. It is said that the present-day people of Ireland and Scotland, collectively known as the Gauls, are actually the descendants of this race. So when you look at the two sides that came together through his mother and his father and created this one man or one God, it allows him to be consciously aware of light and dark, the underworld and the upper world, understanding both sides of his nature. He is also thought to be a bridge for the humans to the divine. Thanks, Genocide. Appreciate you. Lu is credited for being able to have entered Tara, which is a sacred place that is the spiritual center of Ireland. This is where it is believed that he entered as Soil Dana, the spiritual embodiment of the fact and representation that each of us has the ability and potential to achieve everything and anything. The story with that is that he went to the gatekeeper. In order to gain entry into Tara, a god or a goddess had to have an attribute that any of the other gods or goddesses that were already allowed entrance did not have. So Lugh went through a list of things that he was able to do. He had mastered. He had been able to have his proven track record of I can do this, 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 and this. But each one of those individual attributes, there was already a god or goddess that had already previously gained entry into Tara. So that he sat and he reflected and then returned to the gatekeeper, and then he posed the question, is there any that can do all of these together? Is there any one god or goddess that's already in Tara that has mastered all of these crafts? To which the answer was no, and he was granted entry into Tara. So he is actually a symbol of perfection. For anyone that has a deep desire to learn as much as they can about physical crafts and skills, as well as hold a deep spiritual calling, Lugh is one god to whom you may choose to call upon in both a matter of invocation and evocation. I want to share the difference between evocation and invocation because we use those words sometimes in our channel and in our conversations and in our community. And I think it's important that everybody understands there is a difference in what the difference is. So with evocation, it is the process of calling into one's presence another being, such as calling forth the spirit or energy of a deity, a mystical figure, or any other helpful being one might choose to work with. With the practice of evocation, you are not bringing the energy within one's body. However, you are calling forth the essence to join you within your circle. However, the difference is with the invocation, this is the actual process of calling the spirit energy, deity, into your physical self, temporarily uniting the corporal and the spirit essence of the life force with the intention of manifesting one whole, complete, and powerful existence. Invocation allows one to merge with the entity's energy in order to take on the needed characteristics they possess in order to combine them with the person's own best qualities in order to create positive magic, ritual, or worship. Invocation does require practice, knowledge, and understanding, and is usually reserved for leaders or more experienced practitioners. With that is a little history on Lugh, and I'm actually excited to share too that next week we'll be learning and focusing on the aspect of the triple goddess, maiden, mother, and crone. We will learn that there are several goddesses that are attributed to the triple goddess and learn that it is important to work with the one or ones that resonate with you. There is no right or wrong goddess or god to work with or call upon. It is truly up to you to choose who you believe will help you during whatever process or phase in life you are facing. It is okay to call upon and invite more than one to work with you at a time.
Good job, Carrie. That was a whole lot of information.
It was.
How do you guys all feel? Do you have any questions for Carrie about the goddess?
Thank you. Funny, it took hours and hours and hours to put all that together.
And what did you learn to do it about yourself?
I actually I learned that there was a real significant reason that now is the time that I am really focused my studies on Lou, and I've had a connection with him before, but to be able to actually learn more about his history and more about who he is as a god and the characteristics that he has opened my eyes up and my knowledge up even more so. I almost feel like I leveled up in my ability to worship and work with him. You know, the fact that he's, you know, the protector, the fact that he is known to guide and help and support those that are really trying to venture out in new business aspects is so in line with what my energy has been and my energy is going most of my energy is going towards. So this morning I didn't do a full, you know, full ritual circle, you know, etc. But I did do a I did a simple candle lighting ceremony this morning, and I had prepared my altar with some yellow flowers and some yellow roses. And I put a picture that depicts him on my altar. I have two flames. I have a green flame for Mother, the goddess, you know, again, focusing on the fact that it's the time of birthing, it's the time of harvest, and things are green and ripe. And then for Lao, I have like a golden flame crystal that's on his side of the altar. And I consecrated the candles, I anointed the candles with the intention of working with Talti and Lao specifically throughout the day in my ventures, in my preparation for tonight. And I really wish my enunciation would be a lot better and more fluid sometimes. I write brilliant.
Don't we all?
Anybody
We all
who
have
knows
an issue with that.
I write
I
beautifully
wouldn't
on
be able to
paper.
say half those words, so all good.
Yeah.
If
I'm like,
anybody
what
would
was
like,
that? How do you spell that one? Can you spell that for
right?
me?
If anybody would like me to email them a copy of what is shared tonight, you know, I will obviously will, you know, I ask that if you ask and I do send it to you, that you wouldn't try to take it as your own, because he's my protector, so he'll be watching you. But I would be willing to share because it is a lot of information. It's a lot of history. It's a lot of mythology that goes into the understanding of what each god and goddess is and where they come from and how their story and how their workings came to be and what those workings mean to us today.
Yeah. And how
So
do you want
Carrie,
people
maybe
to reach out to you for that?
They,
Through this email or a different email?
they can either email through wisdom of 3 Beyond the Veil, or you can email directly at readingswithcarrielynn@gmail.com. Either
so
one will work.
Carrie, if you can, why don't you put the two books that you used too in the chat if people
Yes.
were interested in the books that you were using to get your material for tonight.
And also just know that as we go through the month, that these are my two primary resource guides. I'm not Googling, guys. I'm not Googling. I am not Wikipediaing. I am not mojoing stuff off of the internet, okay? I am investing time and energy into really pulling forth the information that I share from reputable sources. I have to say, actually, with kind of the Celtic Underworld, or Celtic Otherworlds book, Irish History, Lore, and Rituals, you can tell in reading the book that the authors project some of their historical trauma. I think I'm going to put it that way. Some of the historical trauma comes through as they talk about certain gods and goddesses. They go so far as to say, they don't believe that you shouldn't work with this one. Don't call upon this one anymore. They were too dark, so you don't really want to work with that one. Reality is that we are going to be called to work with different gods and goddesses and entities and mythical beings, angels, and etc., based on what we are going through in that time. And there may be times where, yeah, the myth is dark. Yeah, some of the characteristics that god or goddess exhibited in certain situations that they were faced may not have been all pretty and love and light and, yay. But they did that for a purpose. They made those decisions for a reason. And what you have to remember is what is at the core of who they are. And we just spent a month kind of, breaking the ice on shadow work. So just because something may appear to be in the shadows or have had a dark time, we have to remember that we all have. And there's one thing that we can do when working with the gods and the goddesses is we can actually personify them based on some of the choices they made. And we can then look at what did they do to overcome this? How did they rise above it? How did they maintain their status as a god or a goddess during this time when they had this history that was holding on to them? Well, you know what? They said, fuck that history. I'm letting that shit go, and I'm rising up to who I'm supposed to be. So we can also be inspired by that time as well. And very much true. A lot of times too, there's a lot of what came from the rise of Christianity has tainted a lot of the truth of and value that was originally there. I think I'm done with my soapbox if somebody else wants
to talk. You're doing so well, though.
It's been fun. I have to say it's been fun. I'm glad that I have had this time to really delve in and bring stuff. I'm already halfway through next week's talking points. Does anybody have any questions?
So it looks like Renee wants to know what the range of writers of these books. I double checked and see what is actually is repeated. So why don't you, Carrie, in the comments, put the 2 books that you were doing the research in, put your email address as well. They already have the Wisdom of the 3 Beyond the Veil Gmail one, just in case they want to email you directly. It looks like some people are requesting that you send them
Okay.
some information, but they're going to have to email you so you get their email addresses so she can email that to you. So make sure you guys email Carrie for that information if you want it. She's going to post the books in the comments so that you have that resource for yourself if you're interested in those books. I'm a book nerd. I can't have enough books, so I will personally be looking into those too because I find that information very interesting.
So it looks like Mrs. Johnson is saying like that's how she fact checks. Like she reads to see what's like repeated, like what authors are saying the same.
Yeah. And that again, I have a lot of information and knowledge that I've learned in my traditional Cabot studies and working with my Cabot lineage. So I have that core information. Then I utilize both of these resources to kind of go back and forth and look to see what the comparisons were, what was the commonalities, what I could actually pull forth and decipher as, fun facts about Lugh. And then obviously in doing this and preparing for this and spending the time in processing, I was actually, inviting Lugh into my sacred space. I invited Lugh to come and commune with me. I invited Lugh to shine his light upon the highlights of what, what is real and what was to be shared. I asked that everything that came forward would be for the highest and best of all. So I threw in the myth about the Mayflower because in reality was when I read that I felt like both Lugh and I shared a laugh and a chuckle over it together. Like, how silly was that of a myth and legend that she wanted to be the mother of a god, but she wanted to remain a maiden, so that she drank a Mayflower and which impregnated. It was like, no, it, my mother was locked in the tower, and I had to kill my grandfather. And in order for all of that to happen, Kiwa had to come forth, rescue my mother, pull my mother out of the dungeons, take her off, pull her out of the darkness into the light. And that's how I was formed. That's how I was created. So that is, that is what I truly believe is his birthright. However, sometimes it's fun to kind of see what is the flip side of a coin, or what is the flip side of the story, or what is another myth that could be, thrown in there, because it's neat.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work to become a god. My God. Dedication, right? He was dedicated. He was still gonna get there if it killed them, right? I'm too lazy.
All right. Jill, what do you got to say? You're so quiet tonight.
Well, I had myself muted. Well, this isn't really my, I don't really know a lot about goddesses, except for like, Lilith and a handful. So I was just listening more than anything else, because this is kind of new territory for me.
Yeah.
I do have a couple goddess decks, which I've pulled from. I always have to look up the meanings. I can't say half their names.
Do you want to pull a card for collective?
I actually did pull two that I kind of like already from my goddess guidance oracle deck, which funny enough, the whole reason why I got it is because Carrie was using it. So because that's a lot of times that's how I pick my decks. On a side note, we got this super full moon coming that's happening tonight, and the cards I pulled actually kind of go with it. So one of them was Aphrodite, the inner goddess. Awaken the goddess within you through dance, self-care, appreciate your divinity. and Osteria, which is fertility. It is the perfect time for you to start new projects,
Wow.
new ideas, and give birth to new conditions. So I thought these were kind of perfect for tonight and just what's going on in the universe in general, right? My other deck, I got Lilith and I got Persephone. Inexperience and independence. I like Lilith. She's misunderstood.
My
I
daughter
have a
works
few
with Lilith.
different decks. What was that, Carrie?
My daughter works with Lilith a lot.
Nice. So I had a few different decks here, and it's like I kept picking them up and touching them, and a couple cards came out, and I'm like, they just didn't feel right to me. So this deck over here is been calling me. There's this artist. If you guys haven't checked her out, Autumn Sky. Her work is amazing, and what she did was she created this deck of cards, and I feel like she's just a goddess herself, and that her images are just incredible. So I wanted to see what we get collectively for this card deck. All right. So this is one of her artworks. Isn't that gorgeous?
Ooh.
And the card is empathy. Forgive yourself and others. Cleanse your body, mind, and environment of toxins. Be the stewardship of the earth. Be gentle. Be patient. The world is healing.
That's
But if
beautiful.
you, I mean, yeah. And if you look at it, it just like the nurturing in there, like this goddess is just nurturing that little baby wheel. You know, and the blues is sticking out, and that just, you know, blues remind me of connection to all that is, and that we are more powerful than we actually realize in manifesting and creating. And it is a piece of us that has to really dive deep and connect with our nurturing self. And I'm also being told to, you know, put the judgment aside as much as you possibly can. Try and know when you are in judgment and allow that empathy, sympathy to come in so that you can actually, you know, respond from a place of integrity and truth. So that is what I'm getting from that. And make sure that you're grounding yourself and you're anchoring into what it is that you really want and are trying to put forth into this world. That's my message with that card.
I just keep hearing like stepping into your own power. Like this is the time to step into your power, which is like what who you are, right? I think a lot of us, I can say for myself, I have like shied away. Like I started to step into my power, then I took 2 steps back, and I think a lot of us struggle with that. And I think this is that encouragement too. Like Carrie's doing. Carrie's fully. Hey, my buddy Keats is here. Good to see you, Prag.
Yeah. Well, remember, I'm not sure if we talked about it here or if we talked about it together, Jill, but remember that ebb and flow of the energy, the past and the future, and coming back into it. So when we say we take 2 steps forward and then 5 steps backwards, right? We have to go back into our history, as Carrie expressed it, or our past, and bring forth that which is ready to be healed. So we bring that and join us where we are in our future, bringing all those parts of ourselves so that we are now aligned with that future self and what it is that we want. and then we step back to gather more, to do more healing, right? And sometimes we get stuck in that middle for a little bit, in the pause, if you will, so that we can really allow that stuff to permeate, to understand it, to gain that knowledge, and then we can bring forth to the future again. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the
Absolutely.
ebb and flow. The ebb and
Ebb
flow
and flow,
of
ebb
our
and flow.
cycle.
It's so important. It's what keeps the balance of the universe in play.
Yeah.
So, write down the email that's in the banner, please, because what I just learned is if I try to enter information from my readings with Carrie Lynn chat in our post that has anything to do with readings with Carrie Lynn at gmail.com or readings with Carrie Lynn YouTube or anything like that, it won't upload. So I cheated. I went in and I changed the banner.
It must be a protection thing, so we don't get spammed while we're doing this.
Yeah.
So, which is it's a great thing.
It is a great thing. But even as a participant of our group, yeah. So the email is now in the banner for anybody who would like a copy of the script. Please email me directly. And again, I just ask that if I share it with you and you do request it and I share it with you, that you'll use it as a tool. Add it if you have a book of shadows, if you have a journal, if you have something like that, add it to that. You know, learn, grow, adapt it, but please don't try to publish it.
Unless you give credit due where credit is due.
Including.
So, Prag Magic, my friend Keats, who's one of our moderators, is in the chat. And so he did, don't hate me, Keats. So Genocide had written how Keats had hurt his back recently. So if everyone could send him positive thoughts and healing for a speedy recovery.
Most definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most definitely.
Yes, nothing like a spinal nerve to make it remind you to ground more.
So,
excuse me.
There weren't any issues with sound this week, was there? Other than my tongue getting in the way sometimes.
No, I mean, amazing. We all had pretty good internet connection tonight.
Almost made it to the end.
We're almost there. It's okay. We could say it out loud.
So I didn't want to have like a repeat of what happened with Genocide last week, where I was trying to give him a really wicked cool, reading, and the sound botch. So I am now mic'd. Yay.
Oh, so much better, Carrie.
I kicked everyone off the Wi-Fi again. And so far, it's held up. Knock on wood.
No, it's been really good. The whole kit and caboodle.
So just because my friend Keats doesn't get to join often, because I know that he is working a lot. So Keats, if you want a card or anything, let us know quickly in the chat. We will before we wrap up. Just because I know he's a very busy worker right now. He just he's got a little bit of free time on his hands, unfortunately.
I'm just gonna do some energy work while he's here.
100%. Send in the good stuff, Keats.
Oh, he would love a card. So, who would like to read for Keats, or I can pull for my buddy?
Sacred Forest. Oh, you have a bunch of work that needs to be done, my friend? No bueno. So we have this card that just jumped, and it is Spirit Guardians of Summer and Expansion. And there is an apple tree that is in full bloom with the apples ready to be picked. They are white, ripe, and ready and waiting. There is a golden finch sitting in the tree and looking up. The gold of the finch is calling me to my solar plexus, which would also be in alignment with the lower back area, the lower to mid back. Because with our chakras, it actually radiates throughout the entire being. And really, what I'm sensing and getting from this is that, you know, you're going through this time, but this is also, it's a time of expansion for you. It's a time of stepping out of the go hustle and bustle of life, and it's an invitation for you to go into that sacred space. The apples are often associated with the sacred space, Avalon, or any person's specific sacred space, but it is a magical fruit. And this tree is actually, like, if you look, the tree itself is right here, and there's a path that's clear leading up to the tree with other trees on either side of the path. So this is a time for you to come into a place of solitariness, of being solitary for a bit. You're still going to have connections. I'm not saying close off everybody, but take some time to draw within yourself. Use this time to seek the knowledge that's going to ultimately lead to your expansion, and allow that radiating healing energy to encompass the entire solar and sacral plexus. And again, it's not just when a lot of times people visualize it, because the charts often show somebody forward seated, but what you have to understand is that energy goes throughout that entire area, back and forth. Like, so a solar plexus is going to go forward and backwards. Each chakra goes up, but that solar plexus and that sacral area, that lower back, allow that to heal. But while that's happening and while that's taking place, there's an invitation for you to expand upon the knowledge and experience that you have. And I truly, truly, truly believe that everything that's coming out of this situation for you is going to multiply your persona, your abilities, your connections, and there's going to be a complete expansion of who you are as a person and who you are within the communities. I hope that resonates.
Thank you, Carrie. That was awesome. I thought it was awesome knowing Keats myself. Yeah, lower backs.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Too.
A lot. Is it like around L5?
Keith said, very beautiful. Thank you. Awesome.
You're very, very
Thanks,
welcome.
Carrie.
Oh, Miss Jonaside, don't hurt yourself anymore. You need healing in your back too.
Well, I just sent it to all of you. I did a lot of back work on whoever needed it.
For the highest and best of all, which means if you catch this in a rerun and you catch this on the flip side when we're not actually lit up live and you need some healing work, guess what? That you can be open to receive the same energy and healing work that Deb just did at any time. That's what's so cool about what we do.
Yeah. Let me know if anybody felt anything while I was doing it.
Holy crap.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Wow.
And Keith, I'll never forget how you hurt your back right before you were supposed to move.
Oh, goodness.
Moving stuff a couple of years ago, too. Yeah, nerves will make your legs go numb. I hope you're doing better, Keats. I'm sure Mary's taking good care of you.
You're very, very welcome. Well, ladies, we are.
It's a wrap.
Yeah, we're hitting that 9 o'clock hour. And you know what? Still looks like we have green check marks all along the top, which means we were successful in streaming on multiple platforms tonight. Yay!
Took a act of God for me to get it to work the first time, but hey, we did it.
We did it.
Well, that's what happens when you work with the gods and goddesses.
Yes.
They show up.
They do. So
thank you to all our friends and our bridge buddies that came tonight.
Definitely. Feel
Much love to all.
free to click on Deb's.
Well, hopefully you guys felt that energy work and you're feeling a little bit better. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We enjoyed having you guys and the questions and the comments. Carrie was amazing as always. Jill got out of doing a meditation again, but
it's coming.
It wasn't on purpose, though.
We'll get her.
We will. It'll
Actually,
happen.
before we hang this thing up, how many of you guys want to hear a meditation from Jill?
Ooh, come on, people. Let's put it in there. Love that chat.
You know I'm going to do it anyways. And actually, I forgot. I didn't get a chance to clip the last week's. I was meant to do that today, but I ran out of time.
Look at that one too. Marianne says I do. Jonathan says me. Nadia says yes, do it.
Let's get it.
Hey, thought you guys were my friends here in the chat.
They are. They're
fine.
helping you step out of your comfort zone. Remember, we just talked about shadow work. I actually
had it started. I forgot that Tuesday was going to be a new month, but it's okay. I actually do have it started.
I did too.
Till I sent you all a message. That's all right. We're good.
It's all right. It's the way it's supposed to go. It's okay.
That's right. That's right. Well, blessings to everybody. Blessed Lunasa to anyone who's celebrating tonight. Happy super moon tonight. All good energies out there. So
leave your pocketbooks empty and open.
That's right. I have all my crystals in there on my windowsills. I got the rest to haul up after this.
All right. Thank you guys. Bye.
Much love, everyone.
Bye, guys.